Hey y'all. Today I'm bringing you the restaurant boss. His name is Ryan Gromfin. And he was referred to me by a mutual friend. And that person was brought to me sort of through the networking universe. And, he and I just hit it off. And within maybe 15, 20 minutes of talking to him, I was like, man, you need to come on the podcast and we need to talk about the restaurant boss. He's also got this piece of software called Click Bacon that he's working on. He's been using for a while, and he's been kind of tuning it up and getting ready to go 2.0 on it. And so he's going to tell us some of that. He's going to tell us the origin story of the restaurant boss, which is kind of awesome all by itself. And just a good dude. I can't wait to have him tell you his story. So here we go. You're listening to the Culinary Mechanic Podcast. I'm your host, Simon Zaturka, the founder of Culinary Mechanic, a restaurant advisory firm focused on making kitchens and restaurants run like well-oiled machines. With this podcast, we aim to bring you insights, strategies, tools, and tactics, and sometimes just good old advice and stories that are going to help you run your restaurant better. I hope you dig it, because honestly, it's a real labor of love. One thing you could do that would help me a whole lot is to go anywhere that you listen to podcasts and leave a 5-star review. That'll help get the word out so that more people will hear this podcast, and hopefully we can help more restaurants run just a little better. Now please, enjoy the show. Today I'm joined by Ryan Gromfin. He's the restaurant boss. He's the founder of Click Bacon. It is a restaurant profit software, author of Make It Happen. You've got something called scaleyourrestaurant.com as well, don't you? Anyway,
I do.
Ryan, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Man, I'm so happy to have you here. You and I kind of got introduced by another cool former chef, and so far our conversations have been pretty cool, and I'm just delighted to have you come and play in the sandbox that is Culinary Mechanic.
I love it. I'm excited to be here.
Nice. So let's get just down to it. How'd you get into this industry? Like, how did that begin?
So just restaurant, like just the whole industry in general, like you said,
Yeah, man, wherever you want to start it. But yeah, think of it as your Batman Begins moment.
Okay, awesome. So I think it was a pretty cool journey. I kind of got started right about the time the Food Network was kind of becoming a thing. And I think I was probably probably about 14 years old or so when like Food Network was early on. But we're talking like Emeril Lagasse, Two Hot Tamales, Mario Batali, Ming Tsai, and like that was Food Network. And even to the point where Food Network like didn't even have all day. Like it would only be on from like 2 until like 8 p.m. and then it would like turn into paid advertisements for the rest of the day.
Right.
And I just like, I don't know, it just became a thing. I mean, my mom always cooked, so I think food was a part of our family. Right. But my mom's idea of like a great meal, Mom, I love you. You're a great home cook, but like baked chicken, like chicken with like Lowry seasoning thrown in an oven for an hour and a half, like dry as a bone. She made some great stuff. But
dude, you had me at Lowry's.
Huh?
You had me at Lowry's seasoning.
That's so good. But the point is she did cook every meal every day. We had a lot of cooking. So I kind of always grew up in a kitchen around. And then when I saw Food Network, I was like, whoa, like this is food at a level that I had never seen before. And I just got totally into it. I started experimenting. I can think back to some pretty bad dishes I made, but I started experimenting. And I remember one day I bought the Two Hot Tamales cookbook. And there's a whole story about the Two Hot Tamales we could talk about another time. Mary Sue Milk and Susan Feniger. If you end up listening to this, either of you, you're awesome. I love you. You're a big part of my journey. But one of their recipes called for achiote paste. And like back then, you couldn't go to Vaughn's or Pavilions and get ancho chilies and chile de arbol and achiote paste and epazote. Like you could now. But like I remember my dad and I, like we had to get in the car and like drive to the hood in Los Angeles and go to a little Mexican grocery store. And we're talking like 93 and get achiote paste. And I made these I think they were tamales. They were so good. But I'll fast forward. So I'm totally into Food Network. And I'm probably like 16 years old, and it's like, what are you gonna do when you grow up? And I remember my dad asked me that question one day. I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, you ever think about becoming a chef? I'm like, no. And he's like, okay. And that was it. And then there was a husband and wife. God, I can't remember their name right now. They wrote a book called Becoming a Chef, and they were talking about it on the Food Network. Do you know what I'm
Dornberg
talking
and
about?
Page. Yep.
Andrew Dornberg and Karen Page. Thank you. Andrew Dornberg, Karen Page wrote a book called Becoming a Chef, and I saw it on Food Network. And I remember I went to barnesandnobles.com to order it, and I saw they were doing a book signing that night at the Barnes and Nobles near my house. And like, got in the car with my mom, drove down, got the book, they signed it. And I remember I asked them, I was like, hey, like, what's your number one piece of advice if someone's thinking about becoming a chef? And they're like, it's in the book, but basically, like, get the worst job possible at the best property possible.
Yeah.
And so through a series of events, I don't want to bore your audience too much, but through a series of events, I took that to heart. My first job, I was 15 years old working at Hillcrest Country Club, which is a very high-end country club in Beverly Hills, just outside of Beverly Hills. We say it's Beverly Hills. But like, here I am, like my mom drops me off. I'm 15 years old, and all the guys in the kitchen are like, oh, Merito, like, you know, his mom needs to drive him to work. But I made it through 2 summers there, and then that guy helped me get into culinary school. And then I ended up at the Peninsula Hotel, which was in Beverly Hills, a 5-star hotel. You and I have kind of a Los Angeles culinary background that crossed paths a couple of times. Never worked together, but seemed like we were in the same circle about the same time. And so I ended up Johnson and Wales, Peninsula on and off for about 7 years. And then comes kind of round 2 and round 3 of my journey. But, you know, that's where Food Network, Emeril Lagasse, Ming Tsai. Like, I got to meet Ming once. It's awesome. But like, those people were like my second parents, like literally. Food Network raised me through my teenage years.
Awesome. This is where I say bam. You know what,
God,
though?
Emeril. Hold on.
I will say,
Emeril, I love you. You're the man. You changed this industry. You are a fucking stud. What the hell were you thinking with that shit on the rim of a plate? So, I need to look Emeril in the eyes one day and be like, the fuck were you thinking?
You know, this. Yes, I am totally with you, because I can't tell you how many replates I had when I would mess that up, because my chefs were just like, oh, and it's got to be the thing, and you put it all the way around, and like somebody like smears their thumb across it, and then you can't quite get it because now you got oil from your thumb and fuck, and just the whole bit. But
I try not to be that old school German chef, but there are a couple of rules I have. And I have one rule of, we don't own the rim of the plate. The guest owns the rim of the plate. Or the server owns the rim of the plate. We own the inside of the plate. Somebody else owns the outside. Get your fingers, get your food off of the rim of the plate. Yeah. My other thing, and this is where German chef in me comes out. I'm not German, but this is where hot food, hot plate. Cold food, cold plate. God damn it. Stop fucking that up. Hot food, hot plate. Cold food, cold plate.
Oh, man. So this like, you just brought like prickly little hairs on the back of my neck of like being like shoved into my chest 5 plates, where the cook that's training me goes, run these down, get over to the ice machine, and we open up the ice machine and you jut the plate in and you spin it.
Start spinning them on the ice.
Totally, because you're trying to cool the plate, and that's one, and then the next one, and you're going as fast as you can, and the cook is like this guy's training me in this kitchen, and he's like, dude, fucking hurry up, we're in the weeds.
Because if I put a salad on a warm plate, chef's gonna throw it back at us.
Yeah, he's like, but he's gonna get mad if we don't get some food out of this window. He's like, we're starting to drag the line down. Oh yeah.
I got one more on that might bring back some memories, but you never sauce the food, you sauce the plate. I can't stand when I get like a steak that's covered in sauce, or like a beautifully, perfectly cooked piece of seafood and then it's covered in sauce. You don't sauce the protein, you sauce the plate.
Interesting. Okay.
There's definitely and there's probably about 10 more now that I think about it, but these are things that, like, when I'm working with a client, I'm like, what are you doing? You sauce the plate, not the protein. They're like, what are you talking about? But those are
Totally.
just things that again, I can hear these chefs screaming in my ear, but certain things I agree with.
Well, I mean, I think that you could probably have an entire episode on that saucing topic because
Oh yeah.
I worked for some people where like meat, like steak, you would it would always be like the bottom third. You would actually hit the steak and then let it pool naturally, like
Oh,
I don't want swooshes, I don't want circles, I want this
oh
much.
God, I'm getting a chill. Like I can now see like the juices from the meat separating into the perfectly cooked demi. Like that's just driving me crazy. Like if you want to butter your steak, if you want to finish salted, if you baste it, like I'm all cool with that. Now again, we're talking fancy. Like you and I
Totally.
both have a lot of time in these really high end places. There's different levels for different things, but like to me, if we basted a steak, we basted it on a drip tray and then let it drip, and then we moved it to the plate. But if I saw butter running through a demi, like that's a replay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
So
sorry.
so it's okay. So the here's the fun part. Like you talk about like 93, 94, right? Like being your formative years and you're watching Food Network. So I'm a little older than you. So in 93 and 94, I was in a place in Albuquerque, New Mexico called the Ranchers Club. Okay.
Okay.
And you want to talk about replate madness. Rather than plating in front of you on the board on your cutting board, there were 8 plates in the window and they were stacked 8 high. So if you were working at the beginning or at some point in the night, you were reaching on to eight plates stacked to plate everything, and the heat lamps are right there. So the number of burns that I had on the back of my knuckles, for the people that are watching this, not listening to it, it was ugly. Like I had a constant burn. I had no hair on the back of my hands. And these were the days of using a teacup to cut your toast round, right? And toasting that,
Sure. Sure.
right? And then putting it on the plate. And if it bled out, right? If the fillet bled out, replate. Fuck
We
my
can.
life.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
There's a kid who I remember was teaching him how to flip fish, and I will not mention his name because he's now running a restaurant. He's very successful. He's a great chef and just a great guy. But I was teaching him how to flip fish, and he kept burning his hand because he would put. We taught to cook with a lot of oil.
Right.
You should cook with a lot of fat in your pan.
Yep.
And when he would flip it toward himself.
Oh my
And he
God.
was left-handed, so he would flip it like this to his hand holding, and
Uh-huh.
all the oil would splash up his hand. You'd burn it. And so I remember one day I was trying to teach him like how to tilt the pan, bring the fish toward the handle, flip it away from you, and then let it kind of slide back into the oil. And one day we were really busy on the line and he screwed up, and I was reaching over to grab something and he flipped a piece of fish. He got smart. He stopped flipping toward himself. He started flipping away from himself, but right to my face. And the side of my face got splashed with like 500-degree oil. And I, just as a knee-jerk reaction, I like elbowed him in the face. And I was like, damn it. Now this kid's like bleeding on the line. But it was like, I just got like burnt from the side of my face. And so, yeah. Oh, yeah. The industry.
Yeah. I mean, the stories of other people burning you are like endless, you know.
You burn yourself, it's one thing. It's when someone else burns you that.
Totally. I have a pig tattoo on my left arm and it goes just about to my left elbow. And one day I was turning left and my saute cook was turning right with a sizzle platter. Son of a
Oh,
bitch burnt the back, and this tattoo was maybe 20 days old. So it was just healing. And he turned and he put us, and I was like, "You're trying to roast my bacon. What are you doing?" He like burnt the back end of my pig. And so I had a scar there. I came home. My wife's like, "That's gonna take a lot of like Neosporin," and she's like, "We're gonna have to really treat that scar, otherwise you're gonna have a scar across your pig." But yeah, that was one. I was just that's the one of the only ones where I got angry that somebody had burnt me. But
yeah. Oh,
okay, so you become infatuated with Food Network. That's awesome all by itself. I thought I was gonna have to blame Bobby Flay for you, but no, you
I got to
predate
meet.
Bobby Flay.
I had a very disappointing meeting with Bobby Flay once. It was freshman year at Johnson and Wales, and we went to New York. Actually, my now wife, girlfriend then, and then a few friends. We went to New York and we did a couple of restaurants. And one restaurant we did was Mesa Grill. Bobby was young at the time, and he was just starting on Food Network. And he was sitting at the bar. We went for like an early dinner, like 4 o'clock or something. And we went and talked to him as like culinary students, and he literally like could not give us less attention.
That is disappointing.
I don't blame him. He was young. It was a different time. It was just getting popular. I don't necessarily blame him. We bothered him in his restaurant, so I get it. But I'd love to rouse him with that a little bit, because I had issues with Bobby Flay for like the first 5 years of Bobby's like television career, but I think he's awesome. He's entertaining. He's fun. He knows his shit. I really enjoy him. I think he's great.
I was mad about the cutting board on Iron Chef for a long time.
Was that when he got electrocuted or something?
No, the first time he won, he got up on top of stood on his cutting board.
Oh, I kind of remember that.
And Morimoto was like, "You have disrespected what we do."
Yeah.
And then when he beat Morimoto the second time, instead of standing on the cutting board, he picked it up and like threw it over his shoulder and then stood on the counter. And I just was like, you have no respect for the craft. I agree with you though. Like
it's different than it was.
His megalith empire is something to behold, right? There's no doubt about it.
No question.
All right. So you've gotten through that. You get in, you go to culinary school. How does that turn into the restaurant boss? Because that's kind of awesome, man. I love that name, by the way. Like that's dope.
Thank you. I struggle with it a little bit. I like the name because it encompasses kind of what I do, like the boss, but I also don't like the boss. Like, so basically, through a series of events, I was cooking on and off at the Peninsula for a while. I think I really honed kind of my craft. I think I became a really talented, really good, really solid chef. It's funny though, my strengths were always in sort of systems and processes and organizing. I was never the best at like coming up with specials or like the fastest cook on the line. But I just always figured out a way to get my shit done. And I remember being jealous of like, there was a cook named Andrew Shaman that I worked with at the Mansion on Turtle Creek in Dallas. Like this kid was a badass cook. Like the kind of cook that you're like, dude, like how does he get every steak right? We're picking up 26 steaks right now. Everyone is perfect temp. He never needs a call back. Like this dude was fire as a cook. I was never that. I was a terrible line cook. But like my technique, my ability to create menus, my flavor profiles, my organization, that I always felt strong. So I kind of always knew one day, like I'm either gonna like own a restaurant and be the expediter, like never be the line cook, or I'm gonna like consult. I always kind of knew that, but I didn't know how it was gonna happen. And so I wanted to own my own restaurant. Early in 2008, I had put together a business plan for a barbecue restaurant. I had gone out and secured about $750,000 in capital. I had about $250,000 of mine and my family's money. And then 2008 September, market crashes. One of the investors pulls out. The landlord, who was also going to invest, pulled out of the investment and offering us the property. He ended up offering it to someone else. Like my whole world fell apart. I literally this all happened on a Friday. I was getting married that Sunday. So it's supposed to be sign the lease Friday, get married on Sunday, go on a honeymoon, come home with $750,000 committed, get to work, open up the restaurant.
Right.
That's it. Instead, what happened is my wife is out with her family, getting her nails done and having a grand old time on Friday. And she comes home and I'm curled up in a ball, literally crying. And we're not talking like, oh, that's cute. Like I was wrecked. I was broken. Like I couldn't move. And I'll never forget, my wife and I lay on the floor under my desk in our apartment office for probably 5 or 6 hours, just the two of us just crying together on the floor. And then you wipe the tears away. We went and got married, went on a honeymoon, and on the honeymoon, I was like, all right, well, the fuck's next? Came home, got a job in a hotel. And then it just kind of by a series of events, one of the guys who was going to invest in the restaurant introduced me to someone who had just bought a mall right before 2008, right before the crash. And then after the crash was having trouble with the mall. And he had these plans. It was an old mall. It was an 80s built mall where food was everywhere. They didn't really do food courts.
Right.
And so one of his plans was to move food from being everywhere into a food court. And he had Panda Express. He had all of those people signed. And then 2008, everyone backed out of leases. So now it's early 2009, and he's like, he was introduced to me as like, dude, move up to Santa Maria, California with me, or move up to Santa Maria, California, where the mall is. Open up these 4 or 5 restaurants. Let's get the food court going. Like your creativity, your ability to run a restaurant. And then as things turn around, we're going to market these concepts to other malls. Because the mall business has changed forever since the '08 crash, as we know. Now malls are Amazon warehouses. Right. But I was like, what an opportunity. Like, let's go. Let's do this. So my wife and I pack up our bags, we move up to Santa Maria. We get these 4 restaurants open in like 9 months. It's chaotic. We opened up 3 in the food court, and 1 was more of like a wine market bistro, where we were doing these really great winemaker dinners, and it was in Santa Barbara wine country. So we were doing the cheese and the wine and winemaker dinners and all this really cool fun stuff. And that partnership, like most partnerships, kind of fizzled away. Legally, I'm not allowed to talk about the details of it. It got bad. And so here I am now. I find myself again without an income. My wife worked in that partnership as well. So the both of us are now 4 years, 5 years older. We've been married. We have 0 income overnight. And I'm like, oh my God, what's the next step? And I'm like, I guess I start applying for jobs as a chef again. And then I get a phone call, and it's a guy that's like, hey, this is so-and-so. I'm the general manager of the, I don't want to say the name, but whatever hotel. I'm like, yeah, like we've met a bunch of times. Like, yeah, great, what's going on? He's like, so rumor around town, you're not operating with the mall anymore. I'm like, yeah. He's like, I want you to come and help us. And I'm like, dude, like, I'm not going to be the chef at your hotel. Like, your hotel sucks. And he's like, I don't want you to be the chef. He's like, I want you to do what you did with your restaurants at our hotel. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, come consult for us. And I was like,
yeah, okay,
cool. So I'm like, let's get together on Friday. This was on Monday, because I'm like, the fuck does a consultant do? So I go nuts on YouTube. This is my infatuation with YouTube, because YouTube saved my life. Like Culinary, like the Food Network, and YouTube, like literally built my life. So Monday night YouTube. What's a consultant? How do you consult? What does a consultant do? Blah, blah, blah. Tuesday, Wednesday, like I'm getting all these free books from people, but I'm like paying for overnight. I'm going on to Amazon, listening to audiobooks. I'm like putting everything, and I became a master of consulting in 4 days.
Nice.
I show up at the hotel, the owners are there, the general manager's there, and I'm like, blah, 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 like, this is what we're gonna do. Here's how we're gonna do it. I've done an analysis already. And they're like, this all sounds great. Can you get us a proposal? I'm like, absolutely, I'll get you guys a proposal, but I'm busy until next Tuesday. Because then I'm like, I got to figure out, what do I charge for this? What proposal do I put together? So I put together the proposal. I show it to them on Tuesday, and I'm a consultant. By Tuesday afternoon, contract signed, check in my hand.
Dear Mr.
And I'm
Google.
like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, I'm getting paid the same amount of money I was making, but I'm working like 8 hours a week instead of like 65, 75 hours a week. So I'm like, this is great. But I'm smart enough to know that these don't last forever, and I don't want to be an elephant hunter. Elephant hunters go hungry for long periods of time. And so this is an elephant, and I got one, but I got to put this food in the freezer and eat it for a while. Okay. So I started going to seminars, reading more books. All those people that I got exposed to, I'm on their email list now. And guys, like, I know everyone's like, oh, like, get out of my email box. Like, there's good shit out there if you know what you're looking for. Again, like guys like Brendan Burchard, Tony Robbins, Jeff Walker. These may be names you in the culinary world don't know, but these people changed my life because I went to their seminars, I read their books, I took their courses, and they taught me how to be an online, virtual, in-person business consultant, coach, author, expert. And so it was through sort of that over the next year that this consulting gig lasted for, I renewed. It was a 6-month contract. I renewed it. I built it up. And so basically, by about the time that this contract was ending, I had started to build up my own consulting practice, the Restaurant Boss. And 12 years later now, 13 years later, here we are.
Nice. If you've ever found yourself saying, there's got to be a better way to run a restaurant, we should talk. Imagine, no rifts between the front and back of house, joint spotless, people are excited to be at work. And you're making the money you've dreamed of. Listen, Culinary Mechanic is here with the strategies, systems, and tactics to help you have the restaurant where everyone wants to be. We're talking about sustainable change. Systems that you can implement and execute day in, day out. If you'd like to find out more about how Culinary Mechanic can help you run your restaurant like a well-oiled machine, I'd like to invite you to use the link in the show notes to book a free 30-minute consultation call. Let's talk about it. So I think consulting is as wide as the ocean, right? I mean, so where, like, what lane do you choose? Like, how do you get in? Like, how do you figure out how you can help somebody?
So I call myself a coach more than a consultant. I think coach is now becoming a better word. Even 15 years ago, like if you said you were a business coach, people were like, business coach? Consultant. Oh, okay. But now I think business coach is becoming more of a thing. But really, I'm a coach. I always think consultants do things for you. Coaches help tell you what to do, right. For lack of a better word. So I'm mostly a coach. I don't do projects for my clients. I have a few clients that I do some projects for, but I'm a business coach and I coach restaurant owners. So there was a journey. There was about a year-long journey that I did with like some of Tony Robbins' trainings and some other people trying to figure out like what this was going to become. But what it really was for me was a couple of things. One, it was what I learned working in the Peninsula Hotel, working at Hillcrest Country Club, working in these 5-star, 5-diamond, right? The Mantra Turtle Creek, the Four Seasons, these 5-star, 5-diamond properties was not the same as what I experienced when I opened up my own places as an independent. Now, I thought I would bring that knowledge to my independence, and I did. But there's a difference between a pilot and an aeronautical engineer. An engineer designs an airplane. A pilot flies it. Pilots don't have the engineering background it takes to design an airplane, and engineers usually don't have the skills to fly. Now, they can become pilots, of course. I'm not saying this is about like, you're a pilot, you don't know how to be an engineer, and you're an engineer, you don't know how to be a pilot, but they're two different career paths.
Right.
And so what I learned was I had been a pilot at a 5-star hotel that somebody else engineered. I followed the systems. I didn't create them. I followed the processes. I didn't create them. I followed the procedures. I didn't create them. Those well thought out processes and procedures allowed an average individual to perform at an exceptionally high level.
Nice.
So look at a Chick-fil-A. Wonderful people. When I say this, no one at Chick-fil-A say or feel that I'm saying that you're a sub-average person. You're not. But Chick-fil-A has built a system that an average, ordinary, everyday person could walk into and excel at a very high level very early. That's why you have the consistency at like a Chick-fil-A or an In-N-Out. An engineer designed a system that works. It's no different than an airplane, right? Pilots are great. I'm a pilot myself. Pilots are great people. They're great at what they do. But without an engineer building that airplane, those airplanes wouldn't fly as well as they do. They wouldn't have the safety system. So this became like a thing for me of like studying this. Like I knew everything I needed to know, but why was I struggling so much when I opened up my restaurants? Well, because I needed to learn a new skill. I didn't know how to build a system. I had to become an engineer. Right. I was already a pilot, but I had to become an engineer. I had to learn how to build systems. And so basically, it was a really rough journey. I ended up in the hospital. I opened up these 4 restaurants, stress, struggle, overwhelm, late nights. I don't drink a lot, so it wasn't like drinking, but it was just like late nights, the stress, everything, ulcer in my stomach, end up in the emergency room. Doctor tells me to take 2 weeks off work. I'm like, I can't take 2 hours off work. I can't take 2 days. But I did make a commitment. I said, there's a Tony Robbins event for 2 weeks in Fiji in 6 months that I want to go to. I'm going to take those 2 weeks off, but that's in 6 months. And I got to learn how to become an engineer. I got to learn how to build the systems that allow me to take 2 weeks off. And I just went on this rampage of building checklists and prep sheets and order guides and backup plans for credit card process failures and onboarding and how do I hire people and how do I train them and creating systems for all the catering that my wife used to do and all the catering that I used to do and everything. And so my wife and I went to Fiji for 2 weeks with no phone, no internet, nothing. We come back and it ran better than if we were there. And that was the vindication for me. That's about the same time I left that partnership. But that's why when I went into the consulting, I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I already had a plan. My plan was going to be, I'm the engineer and I'm going to teach people how to build systems and processes in their restaurant.
There you go.
And so that to me is like, that's what I do. So I teach people how to manage systems and develop people. I don't believe people can be managed.
Huh.
Do you love being managed? Did you love being managed, being told all the things you're doing wrong and all the things you need to do better?
No.
Nobody likes being managed.
Nobody likes being managed.
Developed? Did you love having mentors that taught you how to do things better?
No, I mean, no, I mean, I'm right there with you, man. 100%.
But you like being developed. You
Totally.
liked having mentors.
Yeah.
And so that's where I say is stop trying to manage people. People can't be managed. Stop trying. Manage systems. Develop your people.
Yeah. What I like to tell people is manage products, lead people.
Yeah, same idea, right?
Yeah,
Development is a different word for what a great leader is. Managers and leaders are two different people. Totally. You can be the same person, but you can't wear a management hat and a leadership hat at the same time.
No.
When you are managing, you are looking for perfection in that task and that process. That's not when you develop someone. You develop someone 5 minutes later.
Yeah. Yeah. Being able to like have the rotating hat thing, right? Like take this one off, put on the next one.
That's right. That's right.
Awesome.
That's exactly. And I actually teach, like you're wearing a culinary mechanic hat. I actually teach people, have a manager hat, have a leader hat, have a bookkeeper hat, have a marketing hat. When you're in marketing, put on your marketing hat and don't answer questions about recipes. Just tell your cook you're not available right now because I'm in marketing mode.
Right.
If you worked at a big company, you would never knock on the head of marketing's door and say, hey, I'm having trouble with this recipe.
No, but chefs are not that, right? Restaurant owners have to be multifaceted. I mean, I think that there's some serious depth to it, right?
Right, but what I try to teach is don't try to be the chef and the marketer at the same time.
Right.
You can be the chef and the marketer, but from 10 to 2, I'm the chef.
Yep. From
2 to 4, I'm marketer. And if we don't encompass that and embody that, then think about I want marketing and chef to fight. I want marketing to push the envelope and say, I need this. And I want the chef to say, I can't do that. And then I want the two of them to get into a room, put some gloves on, fight it out, and come out of the room with a compromise. But when you're the chef and the marketer, you don't push envelopes. You don't push boundaries because you put on both hats and you say, well, I really want to do that, but I can't do that. I want the marketer to push the envelope.
All right.
So, anyways.
Sounds like Restaurant Thunderdome to me, to be honest with you.
Sounds like restaurant, what's the split personality? What's the term for that? When someone anyways, someone out there right now, they know they're saying it out loud in their car.
Yeah.
Manic.
Schizophrenia.
Schizophrenia, yeah, like
that's
restaurant
what it is.
Schizophrenia. Yeah, that's it.
I like Restaurant Thunderdome better. That's a TV show. I think you and I gotta go market that, buddy.
Well, it's your show, Restaurant Thunderdome.
Chef and marketer go in. One comes out. Come on, let's go. Awesome. I mean, at the top we talked about. I think you got a book. You got all these things going on. Like, sort of where is, what's next for you? Like what's going on?
Yeah. So, look, I've been very fortunate. I'm going to put on two different hats. I'm going to put on the grateful hat that I'm very fortunate. My business is very successful. But then my coaching hat says, that's not fortune. That's you fucking working your ass off. That's what I would tell a client. But the reality is, right now I'm incredibly busy. I don't have any time to work with any more one-on-one restaurant groups or clients. Um, every once in a while, a client drops off my calendar that frees me up for a new one. But I'm starting to be more and more particular about who I work with. I pretty much only work with restaurants that have at least 2 units, or are about to open up a second unit. So my one-on-one time is incredibly limited. So what we've developed is, again, the book, the membership, the YouTube channel. So we're really working on growing our membership, which any restaurant owner can jump in. We do 2 live sessions a month, and that's just an awesome way to get access to 2.5 years of members training. Any program I've ever created for restaurant owners, it's all in the membership. The book is free on our website. Make it happen. Come to therestaurantboss.com and get a copy of the book. Um, but then also our software, ClickBacon. I developed ClickBacon about 10 years ago for independent operators that are using spreadsheets and want something a little better than that. And we just recently raised some capital, took on some really great accounting partner and a tech partner, and we're really growing that now into what I believe will be hands down the absolute best tool a 1 to maybe 10 unit restaurant operator could use to track their food costs, labor costs, beer costs, KPIs, automate the integrations with their POS, automate the line item extraction from invoices, put all that into QuickBooks, and just like the tools that I think every independent restaurant owner wishes they had. I know I wish I had, without spending $300, $400, $500 a month on some of the bigger monster software tools that we all know that are great, but they're not built for a 1, 2, 3 unit restaurant.
Right.
And that's called ClickBacon. You can learn more about that, clickbacon.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Recently I've become obsessed with it with a pretty simple concept. It's like it's winning your day. I my example for people right now is I say that, like, for me, a win in my day is finishing work when I say I'm going to finish work. Right? That's a fucking win. Because as a former chef, with 30,
as the father of a 10-year-old who comes home and wants to play with daddy,
totally.
Yeah, finishing work when you say you're going to finish work.
That's a win. And I don't have kids. I have 2 dogs, and I have a loving wife who has a job where she works at home. So if I say I'm going to finish at 6 and start working on dinner, I finish at 6 and start working on dinner. So my question to you is, what's a win in your day, and how do you go about winning as many days as possible? And those don't have to be the same answer, by the way.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So what I've incorporated into my own life and what I teach clients, because I think you and I talked about this on a previous call, a lot of the things that we struggle with are just getting through our day, just doing the things that we know we should be doing. Sometimes we don't do it because we don't know how. We won't admit we don't know how, but we don't know how, so we keep kind of pushing it off. But a lot of times we know what we need to do, we know how to do it, we just get distracted and we don't do it. So time blocking and calendaring has become really important to me. So one, I like what you're saying about winning the day. I've never used that term, but the way that I equate that term is, if we win our day, then, and we do that 5 days in a row, then we win our week. And if we win our week 4 times in a row, then we win our month. And if we win our month 3 times in a row, we win our quarter. And if we win 4 quarters in a year, we win our year. You're getting the hang of this. But if we win enough years in a row, we win at life.
Yeah.
And so it starts by winning your day. Well, let's break your day down even further. Let's break your day down into time blocks, into 30-minute or 1-hour time blocks. And so that's how I do it. I micromanage. And by the way, if you don't love the word micromanage, you're listening to the wrong people, and you're taking advice from the wrong people, and you're going down the wrong path. Micromanaging is fantastic. Micromanaging is the best thing that was ever invented. But just remember what I said earlier. Don't micromanage people. Micromanage a system. People don't want to be managed, period, especially micromanage. But I micromanage my calendar down to the 15-minute block of time. Right? We had to schedule this a month ago because my calendar is blocked out months in advance. If you look at my calendar for next week, there is this much free time. And if you can't see that, it's a 0. There is no free time in my calendar next week because I'm with clients, I'm with software developers, I'm with my marketing team, I'm traveling, and people like this have reached out to me months ago and they're in my calendar.
Right.
So if you're not micromanaging your time, shit's going to fall into it. Bright, shiny object. Squirrel, 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 right? Everything's going to just take up your time.
Yeah.
And so then you're going to lose your day. And if you lose your day, you're going to lose your week. And if you lose your week, you're going to lose ball. And then eventually you're going to wake up in 10 years and you're going to say, God, I still have the same restaurant. I still have the same problems I had 10 years ago. And you know what your problem is? You didn't micromanage that 30 minutes on Monday in 2012. That was the only thing that happened. So for me, my calendar is color-coded. My calendar is blocked out. I'm micromanaging. The second thing I think is like, so now how do I apply that? How do I win at my day is I have 2 rules. One is you do what's in your calendar. Period. End of story. Hell on earth has to freeze over. Trees have to topple for me to not do what's in my calendar. But if that happens, it gets done by Sunday night. Now, maybe I'll do it that night. Maybe I'll do it the next morning. But I allow myself a little bit of grace within a day. But there is 0 grace within a week. I do not start Monday without finishing 100% of the shit I said I was going to finish last week. Now, I really try to not start a day. So, like, if I don't get done what I need at 6 o'clock today, I will stop my day. I will go play with my son. But even though it's a Friday night, I will probably come back to my computer tonight and finish it, or I'll wake up early tomorrow and do it.
Right.
But come Sunday night, when my head hits the pillow, all of last week is 100% done. Ground stop.
That is some freaking discipline. I love it, man. That's inspiring.
But that's what we have to do. We have to set absolute black and white boundaries. Look, we are entrepreneurs. Most of the people listening to this call are some form of self-employed or self-managed.
Yeah.
Right. If you're a chef at a small restaurant, like you have an owner who signs your check, but you're probably kind of a little bit on your own. Like you're expected to get your job done without tons of people on top of you. Like you gotta have that kind of discipline, or go work for a Marriott. Nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
Go work for a big hospitality company that they're gonna put the rules on you. But we operate within rules. And if you're not going to put the rules on yourself, then let someone else do it. But just do me a favor. Don't bitch when you don't take care of your own shit and then you get mad at a boss who's trying to help you take care of your shit. Because your shit's got to get taken care of. So stop fucking complaining, put on your big boy pants, and either do it yourself or let someone else do it for you. But I'm just sick and tired of people not getting shit done and then bitching about it.
Amen. Amen. You've just provided some amazing sound bites. Wait for the week that we drop this podcast, and you start to look on Instagram. You're just gonna be like, "Oh my god, I said that. That's awesome." No, it's great stuff.
I'm also gonna get the people who are like, "Snowflake, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just the subject of the man. Like, you're just saying what you want people to hear." Like, yeah, whatever. That's fine. Go for it.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
I don't know. You won't from my listeners. My listeners
That's good.
are pretty. My listeners are just going to be like, "Dude, that was awesome." Because we all need to be told the truth every once in a while, whether you like it or not. And that for me is the truth. Like if you're not going to do what you got to do, And don't complain about the shitty results that you get.
Don't complain about the shitty results. That's right.
No. Or like
Change
you
your
said,
goals.
go work for the Marriott and let somebody else deal. Yeah. Well, gosh, Ryan, I can't thank you enough for coming to play with me in my little sandbox.
Love it.
And I think that we got some actionable stuff here. I think that the average listener or the average watcher can go, wow, there's some things to do. In the show notes, we're gonna put all the websites that lead to right back to you. And I'll make sure your social handles are in there as well. And yeah, thanks again for coming. And
Absolutely. Thanks for doing what you do. And if you were gonna go, I just have one little closing message, but I'll let if you want to close out first.
I was just gonna say to all you out there, the number keeps growing it week by week. So thank you very much for listening, and I can't wait to talk to you next time. What do you got for us?
Awesome. What's that?
I said, what do you got for us? What was that last
So
bit?
in all seriousness, what I don't know if I missed answering this or if it never got brought up, but um I am on a mission and I'm looking for people to join that mission. And I know you're sharing the same mission, but like this industry has provided a ton for me and for you and for a lot of people out there. This is a great industry. We got to stop fucking it up. We got to
Amen.
stop making it hard for people to want to work in this industry. We have to stop making it impossible for people to succeed. We have to stop complaining and we have to start doing something about it. Because if you own a restaurant and you think it's hard to find team members to work for you today, and all you're doing is complaining that nobody wants to work and all they want is more money and nobody has the skill or the talent or the work ethic anymore, what are you doing about that? What are we doing to make this an industry that if your son or daughter says to you they want to own a restaurant or they want to become a chef, your answer is absolutely instead of no way. Don't make the same mistakes I made. Because if we don't make this an industry that professionals want to come work in, if we don't figure this out, in 5 years, your fried rice is coming out of a machine. In 5 years, your ramen is cup of noodles. We have got to change this industry, and it starts with every single one of us who operate restaurants today and work in restaurants. We have got to make this a place that people are proud to be in, people are proud to work in. We have to stop the shenanigans that we're playing, and we got to go do something about this. Otherwise, this industry is going to be like repairing horseshoes or cobbling shoes. Like, it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that was a mic drop. Thank you to everybody who listens. Have a great one.